Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And today's show is brought to you by Manny Rivera for Hoboken. You can find out more information about Manny's run for City Council at the link at the bottom of your screen. And as you can see, folks, we have brought the restaurant to the pier today. And I'm super excited because joining us is world-renowned chef and author Vincent Thropepi. Vincent, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, so let's talk about your new book, which of course is titled Slaughtered: How Inconsistent Lockdowns Collapsed the Hospitality Industry During COVID-19. What made you want to write this book? And I know you wrote another bestseller a few years ago, I believe. So if you could tell the audience about that first, and then we'll get into Slaughtered.
Yeah, 5 years ago, my first book was a culinary memoir and cookbook that was released. Basically, is telling some stories about people who influenced me to become a chef, and then the recipes that go along with those people throughout the whole book. Yeah. So.
And now, of course, we've spoke about this plenty of times during the show here. We've been to many small businesses, as you're well aware, about the COVID-19 restrictions. The government did not make it easy for small businesses. And I think you writing a book on it was a long time coming, even though we're still in the pandemic a year and a half later, correct?
Sure. One thing that I didn't understand was how the hardest hit industry didn't have a book completely dedicated toward it. So during a lockdown, I put my time to good use and I wrote the book about all the inconsistencies that existed and really how the hospitality industry really collapsed. I think a lot of folks were too interested in their commentary and not really giving the real crux of how the hospitality industry really collapsed. I think they were too interested in spinning it a certain way.
Exactly.
So
the book came out just a few months ago, I believe,
yep,
correct?
May.
In May, see, my math is correct for once on the show. Where can people find a book? And, you know, who are you trying to target by writing this book? Were you trying to target the public who should know how the government is still making it very, very difficult for small businesses? Or are you trying to target those business owners who can read this and say, yeah, the chef is right about this one? Or is it both?
It's really for both because, the hospitality industry, especially that we're in Hoboken. Hoboken is a restaurant city,
Mm-hmm.
The inconsistent, the COVID as a disease is one thing, but the problems that came along with the decisions that were made was something else. And, the dining public, as well as this is not just about the restaurants, but it's also about tourism, because tourism also falls under the umbrella of hospitality.
Of course.
So it was about time that the absolute truth, not according to me, but really what happened in the hospitality industry, the public deserves to know. And yeah, the government didn't make it easy for small business. We've seen thousands and thousands of businesses close, even right across the river. Some New York City institutions didn't make it, So it's about time that the complete and truth in its totality. I believe in intellectually honest conversation.
Right.
And I think that's what that book delivers.
That's what it is. We'll get to Barnes & Noble. We'll put the information at the bottom of your screen about where you can get this fascinating book. I've just started to read it, but in all fairness to me, I just got it the other day. And I can't put it down, folks. So you're going to want to read it. Of course, everybody knows I come from an Italian deli type of family, so I knew what type of restrictions that my family was facing as compared to, and the restaurants certainly faced it at a much larger scale. But I have to tell you, we have food in front of me, so I have to divert my attention here, Chef. I really do. You are a chef first, you would say, then an author.
That's
correct?
True. I agree.
What do we have here? And I guess first explain this wonderful dish in front of me.
So this is New Zealand stuffed mussels.
Oh my God, stuffed with?
Stuffed with a crab meat stuffing. Basically, it's like having a crab cake on top of a mussel. New Zealand mussels are much bigger than what we see, the black PEI mussels. They're about at least 3 times the size. New Zealand mussels come already cleaned and on the half shell already and frozen from New Zealand. So
Excellent.
they're
Well,
really easy to
obviously.
find.
Yeah.
And so basically I made a crab meat.
I'm digging in.
Sure. A crab
Go
cake
ahead,
mix.
talk.
And I put it on top, bake it at 350 degrees.
Do I do the whole thing?
The
Just
whole
shove it
thing.
in my mouth? Okay, see,
Go
I'm doing it
for
wrong.
The
here.
whole
Okay,
thing.
so-
It's like
Go
eating
ahead.
a baked clam, but not a clam.
It's eating a baked clam, but not a clam. We've made messes on the show before. And look, he even brought his own fine china. Why wouldn't you go to? Now, chef, while I indulge in this,
Sure.
you are a chef by trade,
Yep.
and these are dishes you can make for the general public. How can they receive a dish like this?
Well, I also started something called Jersey City Direct.
Oh my God!
So-
Fun. Very good.
Yeah. I started something called Jersey City Direct where every Wednesday I post something on our Facebook page, and then it's delivered to you the following weekend. So sometimes it'll be something savory like this, or it'll be a baked good as we've done in the past. So
Look at that, he's learning segues. Go ahead, let's talk about the baked goods. I love it.
next weekend. So we allow people to order for a whole week.
Got it.
And then, you could email us, call me, or, go on the Facebook and send a message, and we do everything through a PayPal, and then we deliver it to your door.
And this is through Jersey City Direct, and there's a full menu on there, and people.
Well, I post one thing a week.
One thing a week. I'm sorry. I should have been, instead of indulging in this delicious food, I should have been paying attention. One thing. And this is the item of next week, you were saying?
Yeah. So this will be
Perfect.
delivered on the 16th.
Perfect.
This here is a blueberry pie, but it also
I'm
comes in
trying.
cherry and in apple.
Like that. He does pastries and delicious food. I mean, usually, you can't find.
Yeah, I know, it's
double
hard.
the goodness, right, chef?
Sure, it's hard. Either you like to cook or you like to bake. So.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So everything is made fresh. I make everything personally, so I don't really have anybody in the kitchen, so it's all me.
That's the best blueberry pie I've ever had in my life. And
Thank you.
blueberry pie is one of my favorite. I'm not BSing. That is the best. We can't curse. It's Cape Wax.
Sure, right.
The best blueberry pie I've ever had.
Thank you.
Oh my God, chef. Fantastic. Really, really is. Well, we have just under a minute here. I want to keep eating.
Sure, yeah, sure, no
Exactly,
problem.
right?
No problem.
It's my show. I can do what I want, right?
Whatever floats your boat.
Exactly. Talk to the audience about where they can find you, possibly on social media, a little bit more about Jersey Direct, and a little bit more maybe about your book and all that good stuff. Almost like a recap of this segment, because I just want to stuff my face. Go ahead.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Chef Tropepi, or on Facebook, Chef Vincent Tropepi, and Jersey City Direct on Facebook. Jersey City Direct is the name of the page. And Barnes & Noble online is where you can find the book. It's only available on Barnes & Noble. Just do a search for my name and it'll pop right up. And I hope everybody enjoys everything.
I love the way he was trying to extend it while I chew this muscle in my mouth. Chef, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Sure, no
I really,
problem.
really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
And hopefully we can have you on later in a later show and we can eat some more.
Sure, no problem. That sounds good.
Go out and get the book, folks. Slaughtered: How Inconsistent Lockdowns Collapsed. Ooh, excuse me, I'm spitting out here. The hospitality industry during COVID-19. It's important that we read this. I think so something like this doesn't happen again, because we have to keep the government accountable. All right, folks, we will be right back.
She is Cindy Wiegand and she's running for city council.
Meet the Education Matters team, Jersey City.
I'm Paula Jones, an educator, ballot 1F, and I would like to see equity among all students with disabilities.
My name is Yunus Mohammed Barkouch, ballot 2F, and I'm a proud product of Jersey City Public Schools. I want to improve college readiness and professional development for all high school students.
My name is Natalia Ayofi, ballot position 3F. I am a parent and I strive to bring alternative sources of revenue to our school district. On November 2nd, make sure education matters.
Polls are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Vote Education Matters, Jersey City. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. I'm John Edmonds from the Eyes on Energy News Network, and I'm pleased to be here once again on The Pulse with Peter B. And I'm here today with Josh Sotomayor-Einstein, the political analyst here on the show. How are you doing today, Josh?
I am so happy that you are here, not the usual host, who Peter Biancamano, who just bloviates and just, I don't even know what he says, and neither does he, you know. So it's good to be here with you.
I'll opt not to opine on your opinion there, but let's carry on with the show, shall we? So the 2021 gubernatorial race here in New Jersey, we're almost there at the end of it. We've seen 2 debates so far. Josh, before we move into what we anticipate for the next debate, let's circle back to the first 2 debates. Obviously, they were of 2 totally different calibers. Murphy and Chitterelli. That was a very heated debate we saw a few months ago. I want to hear your takeaway from it. What is your takeaway from that?
Well, it's like you said, the tone of the 2 debates was very different. The debate that happened most recently this past Tuesday between Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver and Lieutenant Gubernatorial candidate Diane Allen, the GOP contender and the next Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey, was a lot calmer and had a lot less personal punches than the gubernatorial debate between current and soon-to-be former New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy and future Governor Jack Ciattarelli.
Indeed. I did notice in the first debate with Ciattarelli and Mr. Murphy, the moderators and the media coverage that were supporting and sponsoring that event, they were more or less, left-leaning, if you would agree with me on that. And it's, I try to stay very neutral in my coverage and optics and politics and news coverage, but I was really observing this, and I was really observing the questions and the manners that they asked both candidates, and I felt like the media networks, they sort of vilified Ciattarelli in more ways than they did Murphy. Would you sort of agree with my observation on that?
100%, and I think it says a lot that even someone such as you that stays neutral, that people, you've been involved in news for a long time and people don't really know your personal politics. It says a lot that someone such as yourself can see, the same thing that me, who's a rabid right-wing conservative Republican partisan, sees, that the people in the Democratic media industrial complex are really shilling for their guy and are abandoning any attempts at neutrality. Obviously, there's some exception in the mainstream media, and God bless them, but they are few and far between. What I don't understand is why we see in New Jersey debates so many New York media figures. I want to see more New Jersey media figures, and I know we're hedged in between 2 large media markets, but I also think it means that they're going to be more inclined to go with the national Democratic narrative than the particular actual politics of New Jersey. So it lends itself to Murphy's campaign argument that we've seen in his attack ad, or the independent expenditure groups that have been pushing this line that on behalf of the Murphy campaign, that Ciattarelli is some sort of evil caricature or neo-Confederate or bigot, when the reality is that Jack has a long record from when he was Assembly of working with every type of person and across the political aisle to get things done from a center-right perspective. And it's kind of ridiculous that they join this caricature and they don't hold Murphy accountable, for the marches that he went on when he was saying no one should go outside because of COVID, but he still went to BLM rallies that said the police are institutionally racist. They don't hold him accountable for his executive orders, which resulted in the death of over 8,000 senior New Jerseyans in long-term care facility homes. So I'm glad you pointed out the double standard, because coming from me, it may not mean that much because everyone knows I'm right wing, but coming from you, it has a lot more weight. So truly appreciate that.
No, of course. It was to me, it felt like a disservice that the media was doing to that. To sort of elevate one candidate versus the other. I completely disagree with it. But I can't toot my own horn because as a member of the media, I was not there, I wasn't present, so I did a disservice to my community by not being there as well. So I can't go too high up because for those obvious reasons. So. What topics would you like to see discussed on the upcoming gubernatorial debate? What do you feel?
Well, I know what topics I'd like Jack to keep on bringing up. I don't know what topics Murphy could bring up, but I'd like to definitely see the interviewers ask more questions about the roughly $6.5 billion in federal funds that Murphy's administration has been sitting on that we've gotten, either from the Trump administration, some of that's still there, or from the Biden administration that hasn't been dispersed to the people. And this money was meant from the federal government to help New Jersey recover from the effects of the COVID lockdowns and the economic shrinkage that are also a result of Murphy's policies pre-existing the COVID lockdowns. And he's just sat on it. And what's the point of sitting on this money that's supposed to be helping the people? I mean, Murphy goes on air at a recent press conference. He basically bragged that, state aid, or really it's federal aid, but funneled through the state, had helped 63,000 businesses in the state of New Jersey. But that's a drop in the bucket to the 1/3 of all businesses that had to shut down because of his policies that allowed big box stores to stay open, but mom and pop shops to close.
Yeah, sure. I too would like to see some of those questions answered as well, because there is definitely a lack of conversation. And until that debate, some of those questions I had never even seen presented to Murphy when he had the opportunity to answer them. He would avoid those at previous conversations and pressers and whatnot. So it was interesting to see those topics raised there where he was have to face it in one way or another.
Well, his campaign is trying to avoid things, right? Like, you see it, I've seen street signs all across Hudson County that say, stop the Trump team, vote Murphy. And it's like, Trump's not on the ballot. What does this have to do with any of the issues in the state of New Jersey? The fact of the matter is that Murphy has failed New Jersey when it comes to the economy, when it comes to increasing the cost of living, when it comes to the difficulties that people find here. I mean, I know plenty of people, I'm in my late 30s, but I know plenty of people in their 20s and early 30s that have evacuated New Jersey because there's no opportunity in the state.
Absolutely right. Well, Josh, I want to thank you so much for coming on to speak with me today about this really hot topic. Let's look forward to the upcoming debate soon, and I hope to see you there watching it with me.
It was good to be here.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back with The Pulse with Peter B. I've been John Emmons from Eyes New Jersey News. Have yourself a great night.
We're Cindy Wiegand
and Ian Rentel, and we are each independently running for City Council.
Our only loyalty is to the Hoboken resident, and if elected, we pledge to only consider your interests.
We will not be involved in cronyism.
We will not make deals outside the interests of constituents.
We will uphold the ideals of democracy and work hard for all of Hoboken.
Please vote 3H and 13H for Ian and Cindy on November 2nd.
Meet the Education Matters team, Jersey City.
I'm Paula Jones, an educator, ballot 1F, and I would like to see equity among all students with disabilities.
My name is Muhammad Barkouch, ballot 2F, and I'm a proud product of Jersey City Public Schools. I want to improve college readiness and professional development for all high school students.
My name is Natalia Ayofi, ballot position 3F. I am a parent and I strive to bring alternative sources of revenue to our school district. On November 2nd, make sure education matters.
Polls are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Vote Education Matters, Jersey City. Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano, back in the host chair. I want to thank the great John Edmonds for hosting last segment, always making the segment look better instead of Josh Sotomayor Einstein. But we know that's a different story for a different time. But joining us, and he might look familiar because he's got graphics all over the show. In the beginning of the show, at the end of the show, is another exclusive interview here on The Pulse, and that is Manny Rivera, who's running for Hoboken City Council at large. Manny, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good today, and I just want to say congratulations on your anniversary.
That's right.
Feliz aniversario.
Oh, look at that. He's even saying it in another language. No, it's not my marriage anniversary. He's talking about the Pulse anniversary.
The Pulse anniversary, yes.
We went over that in the Ask Peter B segment. Exactly. Well, Manny, you are, I like to say, very similar to me in this aspect. You were born and raised in town.
That is correct.
And, us old Hobokenites, certainly understand what transformation Hoboken has gone through. But running for city council here, and I can tell you, I've done it before, is a whole different ballgame. Tell the audience maybe some of your background and why you decided to run for city council this year in 2021.
Well, this year in particular, in 2021, it's because I see the difference of from many other years, of course, because someone's running unopposed, which is in my lifetime I don't think I've ever seen. So I believe that it's better to have more choices than new choices. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the most and major reasons that I decided, to run, as well as the many issues that I don't see covered, or the many issues that I see always sugar-coated and rewrapped and sold to us again. Yeah. This is very important, to...
All right, interesting. Now, you said things are not getting done. In terms of specific policy issues, what do you see in Hoboken that needs an immediate change, basically? What do you think that, from a policy standpoint, the city administration, as well as the city council, can do better for the residents of this town?
Well, I believe that from a policy standpoint, transparency is very, very important. I believe that there should be more conversations with the residents in regards to all of these issues that are being addressed without input from the citizens of our city. And the most important for me is the equality for all of our town, because it all should be allocated fairly. And what I mean by that is when we have people coming into different areas and not really addressing or speaking to the residents and just glossing over, oh, hi, I'm here just to say hello and for a photo op, but they're not actually addressing the issues. I think you have to go in there, speak to the people, as I did when I was gathering my petition signatures and many others. So I believe that is an important issue.
Exactly. So you speak about equality. Mm-hmm. I mean, Manny, when you and I are growing up, I believe he's a little younger than me. If not, he definitely looks a little younger than me. This is what happens when you do a cable access show. When you and I were growing up, I felt Hoboken was a little more diverse. I felt that the Latino community, the African American community, was much more prevalent in the city. Would you agree with that statement? And, has the change into town, the gentrification into town, pushed out some of the people who have called this home for so many years?
Well, with your first statement, I agree that there was more representation, and yes, gentrification has moved some of these people out of our city. They've either been priced out or just completely get fed up with being third-class residents or citizens because there is no diversity within an administration that should be diverse in its first showing. But when you look at it, it's really not, because it's just serving one specific group of people. And that is very important, to get a better voice in there to maybe mix it up. Maybe can't change everything at once. Maybe perhaps it's just one tug that they're trying to do, but they'll try to make it move forward. And that's what we need, more of that voices, more independent voices, as I continue to say, because it's the only way the city is going to be able to move forward to the next phase of its existence.
So you mentioned independent voices.
Mm-hmm.
There are of course 2 slates of candidates running.
Yes.
For city council. As I mentioned, 10 candidates, 2 slates. That's 6. My math is still good, especially after those mussels and the pie I had in the first segment. And now you're saying that, now there are 4 independent candidates. Is there a reason why you decided to run as an independent instead of possibly joining these other independents and forming a 3rd slate?
Well, I do believe that there is a method to my personal madness, and that is that I went and did it one-on-one with the people. So if I did it one-on-one with the people, by saying that, I mean going and knocking on their doors and asking for their confidence and their signatures to nominate me to run, then I figured then it's my responsibility to show them that as an independent, I don't really need to be on a slate to show that I can do the work, that I don't need cover from anyone, and that I can do it, firmly for them. And if they elect me, that's what I will do.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Manny. And if you're knocking on somebody's door, correct? And I'm sure, and I hope you're knocking on doors,
Yes.
because we're like 4 weeks away.
We
correct? Maybe a little less than that, about 3.5 weeks away. You're knocking on somebody's door, and the person opens the door, and you're saying, "My name is Manny Rivera. I'm running for council." What can they expect from you as their elected leader to the council here in Hoboken?
Well, they could expect a person that's going to work for them completely, that's going to have my full attention is going to be on the matters that are important to them. I'm sure there are going to be too numerous to count, but I will definitely say to them, please allow me to represent you, let me gain your confidence, and let me try to work harder and harder for you, because I'm going to work every day to make sure our city is fair and equal, there is transparency, and that we move it forward, and that there's a voice that's there for them, and that is also a uniter. Because we also don't want bickering and fighting, because or else nothing will get done.
Wow, I think you said it. You kind of took my last question, right out of my breath here. But we do have a few seconds left. I was wondering if you just want to tell the audience your ballot position and anything else that you would like to say to the voters of Hoboken as we approach this election in 3.5 weeks.
Thank you. Yes, my ballot position is 1H, and yes, my name is Manuel Rivera, better known as Manny. Everyone here in the city and those people that are my old-timey friends know me from Manny. And I'm asking the voters to please, let's step out. Let's think outside of the box. Let's do something different. Let's not go with the same old, same old. Let's try a new voice, a uniter, a person that can move the council forward, that has worked politically with these other candidates that are elected on the council in other aspects of politics, not as a candidate. This is my first time, but I could work with them, and I know that we could find a good consensus where we can move some of the issues that are pressing to our city forward. This is what I want everyone to remember, and to hopefully, give me a chance. 1H.
1H, there you go. Lucky number one.
Yeah, number one.
Exactly. Manny, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
In the race going forward, and I'm sure we'll see you on the show in the future.
I hope so.
I know so, because we have to keep playing your graphics.
Thank
right?
you. Yes, of course, definitely.
Thanks again, Manny. Folks, today's show, this is easy, was brought to you by Manny Rivera for Hoboken. You can find out more information about Manny's run for City Council at the link at the bottom of your screen. I'm Peter Biancamano. Join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. Have a great week, everybody.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.